Washington voicing skepticism overnight about returning to six-party talks on North Korea.
The belligerent actions that the North Koreans have demonstrated over the past many weeks, I don't think provide anybody the confidence that they're even remotely ready to resume in a responsible way those talks.
Meantime, a top Chinese diplomat told a UN Security Council debate that the two Koreas had come close to fighting a war over the past 2 days. Beijing also made a rare public plea to its ally, North Korea, to follow through with its offer to allow UN nuclear inspectors into the country. For more, let's talk to Andrei Lankov, Associate Professor, Kookmin University, joining us live from across in Seoul. Still with us around the desk here at the SGX is our guest host, Kelvin Tay from UBS. Andre, good morning. Very nice to talk to you, and thank you for your time. How do you assess the situation right now?
Well, life as usual. Nothing special. Right now there is a great ease of tensions, but frankly nobody expected, I would say nobody who is in the know, expected a serious confrontation even last Monday. Of course we are going to see more North Korean provocations because recently their game, they want to put more pressure on South Korea and more pressure on the United States, hoping to extract more concessions. But currently, I think that the situation is quite usual. You know, when you live in Korea, you are getting used to all this hype. And what is interesting, this hype is usually only in foreign media. South Koreans are quite used to all the shootings, attacks, ships sinking, everything is just a part of life here and has been for 60 years.
It is somewhat confusing, Andre. You see, North Korea go from aggressive to passive virtually overnight. Many are wondering, is there some form of a hidden agenda? Perhaps you can give us some clarity.
Absolutely, they have hidden agenda. It was clear from the very beginning. It's their usual tactics. When they need something, they first raise tensions. Then they hint that it's time to start talking. And then they extract concessions they need, and they expect to be rewarded, but for essentially going back to the situation which existed before the crisis. So if you are in trouble, the North Korean approach, if you are in trouble, first make a crisis, then get paid for resolving the crisis. It works very well. They have done this many times and almost always with great measure of success.
Okay,
and frankly, I believe they are going to succeed this time again.
All right, Kel, I see you shaking your head over here. Come on in.
Andre, I'm just curious as to, have you guys set a timetable for Korean reunification? And if that's the case, what is the price that it's going to take for that to actually happen?
Well, price nobody knows. Everybody agrees it's going to be very, very expensive. Estimates vary between roughly $1 trillion and $5 trillion. So it's going to be far more expensive compared to, say, unification of Germany, because the economic and social difference between two Koreas is so much greater than the difference between two Germanys. However, talking about timetable, nobody knows. Because both sides, South and North, they pay lip service to the unification. They have to, because unification is a very important part of the official ideologies, both in South Korea and in North Korea. However, really nobody is so eager to get unification. North Korean government understands that in the case of unification, they will probably go to prison or even to the lampposts if they are not very lucky. Yeah. And the South Korean government and South Korean public in general, they just don't want to pay this huge amount of money. And they don't want to ruin their economy. And they assume that it will be a disaster, economic disaster.
Yeah, I mean, totally understood that the North Koreans wouldn't want to have reunification willingly. Having said that, though, when you take a look at the bigger picture, China, for so many years, the thinking has been, conventional wisdom has been, that's exactly what they do not want to see. I mean, they're very happy with their, ostensibly red buddy right here. I mean, having a unified Korea right at their doorstep wouldn't be in their interest. But Kelvin was talking about this a few minutes ago. Recent leaks from WikiLeaks seem to suggest the Chinese leadership have changed their minds and they're okay with a unified Korea. Kel?
Yeah.
Not quite.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry, I
Start
think
first,
one of the
Al.
reasons
Not
why is
quite.
that they're probably now getting quite frustrated with what they see as a belligerent neighbor in Korea and in North Korea, and that they're finding it difficult to actually control them. I think the only discomfort that China would have with having a unified Korea is the fact that you have the U.S. troops right at your doorstep.
Yeah.
But if you can actually resolve that issue peacefully or amicably, then I think the cost of having a unified Korea to the Chinese might be a little bit more palatable, actually.
Andre, you disagree?
Yes, I do. And I would also add that there is absolutely nothing new in the WikiLeaks, at least for me, and not only for me. Because I talk to the Chinese, I talk to South Koreans, I talk to the Americans, and it's essentially a position of China for many, many years. Of course, officially they have to support North Korea, but when they are talking privately, they say what has been confirmed by the WikiLeaks. They say that they would prefer to have status quo, but they will accept unified Korea, and many Chinese experts and officials occasionally say that they understand that in the long run unification is going to happen, and they don't want to damage their relations with future unified Korea too much, and they assume that unification is possible only under Seoul control. So it will be essentially an enlarged version of South Korea. So once again, there is nothing especially surprising in the WikiLeaks.
Thanks very much for your thoughts today. We must move on. Andrei Lankov from Kookmin University, but staying with us is our guest host, Kelvin Tate from UBS.